Going. Give me a little chopstick in this motherfucker. Get my mouth ready to chop up game with y'all asses. All right, let's get this thing going. It seems dark in my joint. I don't know why it seems dark in here. All right, what's up, man? We're here. What's happening, man? What's happening? Let's get this thing going on right now, man. I'm here. I'm here for you. I'm ready for you. You dig? Let me see what's popping here. Let me go into my live chat. Let me turn my joints down here. Oh, man, everybody come on in the room, guys. Come on in the room. Come on in the room. All right, pile on in here on this lovely Sunday. On this lovely Sunday evening. The Lakers won tonight. Well, that's what's up. Shout out to everybody who watched the game. What's up, Dallas in the house? What's going on, Dallas? All right. Shout out to all the Laker fans in the house. All right. Shout out to all my LA people. I didn't watch the game, but, you know, it is what it is. Now that the game was over, we can start talking about some real talk right now. Oh, man. Glad to have y'all tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. I need y'all, when y'all come on in, I need y'all to have that thumbs up button popping. Come on in and hit that thumbs up button, everybody. Hit that thumbs up button. Hit that like button. Y'all hit that thumbs up button. Let us know that it's real. When you come on in, hit that thumbs up button. Hit that like button, ladies and gentlemen. Also, subscribe if you have not subscribed to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. If you have not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I see we're going to have a lot of folks up in here tonight. The game is over, so people are ready. Shout out to Memphis. Shout out to all my LA people. Shout out to everybody who has purchased the Foundation of Black American Conference stream. We have that available now. We have the Foundation of Black American Conference stream available now at official FBA.com. That's where you can get it. The link is right there below. officialfba.com, ladies and gentlemen. Let me play a little clip. I put this clip on my Instagram. I'll play a little clip right now of our brother, Dr. Kaba Kamene, spitting some hot fire. If I get my Instagram to work like it's supposed to work, let's see what's going on with it here. Hold on one second. There we go. Hold on one second. I'm getting some funny style business happening here. Hold on one second. Let me get that popping real quick. Hold on one second. Bear with me. I'm going to play that clip real quickly. Hold on. Y'all bear with me 1 second. But I'm glad to have y'all in here. All right. Glad to have everybody in here. We're going to have a good, deep conversation tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, where am I? Where's my homepage profile? Trying to go to my homepage here. There we go. This is what I'm looking for. All right, let me play this clip of our brother, Dr. Kaba Kamene, spitting some of that hot fire. Let me pull this up so y'all can see it. This is my Instagram for those who do not have my Instagram. It is at Tariq Elite. This is brother Kaba Kamene. Hold on.
Let me tell you something else about the word America. America, they tell you, is named after a Portuguese dilettante, explorer by the name of Amerigo Vespucci. But what nobody tells you is that that was not his name until 1505, because he was born Alberigo Vespucci. But when the world was split up between the Portuguese and the Spaniards, he came to America in terms of cutting off Brazil for the Portuguese. Alberigo Vespucci and Cristobal Colon were very good friends. And so Alberigo Vespucci comes down into Central America, and he comes upon a people that are called Amerisques. Amerisques. And these Amerisques are black, located in Nicaragua. American. But let me tell you something else about
that's
the word
our brother,
America.
brother Kaba. spitting that hot fire as usual. And family, there's like 4 hours of that type of material. It's just hardcore spitting, very good material, very good information. Go to officialfba.com, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Very good information. He was talking about the Amarisques and the Mosquito people over there in South America. Now, there were some people in the comment section kind of doubting some of the material that we were talking about. Now, look, let me show y'all something. This is the Mosquito people down there in South America. We're in Nicaragua. These are the Mosquito people. As you see, these people are still black than a motherfucker. The Inca Mosquito people, this is them. Just so y'all don't think we're just whistling Dixie, you can Google and see what the descendants of some of those Aboriginal people look like. Yeah, some mosquito children there. So again, man, y'all go get that video, man. We're spitting some real stuff in this thing. And it's available for stream. You can go stream it now. Officialfba.com. That's Foundational Black American, but it's FBA, officialfba.com. In the Pirates of the Caribbean, those Carib Indians look black. You know what? That's very interesting because when we talk about the Pirates of the Caribbean, who are the Pirates of the Caribbean? Think about that. When you look at those Pirate of the Caribbean movies, that's absolutely true. They have a lot of these black folks in there, and a lot of folks don't know how to put two and two together. And also, they put a lot of mythological things in there, a lot of magic, but a lot of that Pirates of the Caribbean stuff, that was based on what was going down in the Caribbean with the Maroons, the black people who were Maroons, and they were aligning themselves and allying themselves with English pirates. Can we go deep, or is that something that might be a little bit too deep? Since my brother brought it up, do y'all want to touch on that, or y'all want to move on to something else? Because we can go deep. Yeah? Oh yeah, let's go a little bit deep then. You understand, let's talk history. See, this is why we need to understand history. This is why we need to understand history. A lot of them were Moors. See, in Hispaniola and some of the Spanish conquered islands and nations down there in South America and the Caribbean, the Moors, who some of the captives they were Moors who were in Spain who didn't convert. They did not convert to Catholicism because that was one of the requirements. They didn't convert, so they enslaved them and brought them over here. They got on this land and started becoming Maroons. They started to beat the shit out of the Spanish. At the same time, in the 1500s, the English started battling the Spanish too. The English, all of them were battling for empire. Okay? One of those pirates was Sir Francis Drake. He's an Englishman. You'll hear about him in a lot of narratives about England and their conquest. He was a slave trader, but understand, people knew how to ally for things when it was in their best interest. Okay? This is what we need to learn. We need to learn how to ally with people when it's in our best interest, and then we need to know when to charge their ass to the game, because they do that with us all the time. We need to know when it's cool to ally with somebody and then when it's cool to charge their ass to the game. Now, in the Caribbean, those black Maroons were fighting the Spanish, and the English were fighting the Spanish. So they're like, well, we'll align ourselves with the English. So the English was hitting the Spanish in the sea. The Maroons was hitting the Spanish on the inlands. So they were hitting and plundering the gold because the Spanish were coming over here to get gold. That was their big thing. See, the English were really, and the French, and these people were more concerned with slavery. So was the Spanish too. But the Spanish was really on that gold tip. They kept hearing about that gold from the Moors. The Moors kept telling them about that gold. You understand? So they went into places like Panama, And those Moors were telling them where the gold was and where the Spanish were going to be. They were like, look, there's a gang of gold. We didn't been in this motherfucker before. There's gold over there in the Nicaragua area, in Panama and all that shit. There's gold over there because I got a cousin who live over there. It was on that type of shit. Because the Moors have been going back and forth here anyway. So they would take the English, people like Sir Francis Drake, they would take them down there to Panama. That's why they said that Sir Francis Drake stood in a tree and he saw the Pacific Ocean. He was the first Englishman to see the Pacific Ocean. The Moors showed him where the shit was. The black people showed him where the shit was. But what they would do, they would go down there with those black people, those black Maroons, and then partner up with other black Maroons down there in Panama. They would beat the Spanish ass and rob them of their gold. The black people would go down there and fuck the Spanish up and then rob them of all that gold they were stealing down there. And then what would happen on their way through the jungles and all that stuff going back to the ports, sometimes they couldn't carry all that shit at once, so the Maroons would bury it. That's where the whole buried treasure thing came from. It came from black Maroons burying the gold that they would steal back from the Spanish when they were going to the English ships. Real heavy. Real heavy. And let me tell you something that is interesting as well. When Sir Francis Drake was working with these Maroons, he let the Maroons know, hey, I got a partner named Roanoke up there in that North America part of the world. They just started a colony up there. There's only about 100 of them up there, but hey, we can all go up there. I can take y'all up there and there's a lot of land and y'all can start over. So a lot of black folks went up to Roanoke 1585, around that area. Around 1585, what happened, a lot of black folks were up there who were Maroons. They were taking up there to the Roanoke area, that North Carolina, Virginia area. The English left because there was a big hurricane. They freaked out, so they got on that boat with Francis Drake and went their ass back to England. So the Maroons, this was another set of Maroons that amalgamated with the native society over there. Okay? Real heavy shit. The English came back over there to Roanoke a few years later. They tried to set up shop. They failed. But that's another story. But this is why we need to understand our history and how important we are to this land. And we have to understand allies and friends and who we should be loyal to and who we don't have to be loyal to. Because see, other people will use us when it's going to work for their benefit at the moment. Yeah? We need to understand that part of the game. But let me get into what we're talking about today. We got 4,000 people in here. We're getting heavy. A lot of stuff going on, guys. Right now, as we know, there's a lot of white supremacist militia groups. They're finding out these guys are getting organized. A lot of these white militia groups are talking about targeting people and what they're going to do. And the white media is doing a lot of scare tactics for black people. A lot of the white media, they're trying to push a lot of scare tactic propaganda. Now, black folks, we need to be on top of our game out here. We need to be on top of our game out here. We are in here heavy. You want this shirt? Look, if you want this shirt, go to FBA, officialfba.com. This is the Foundational Black American shirt. See, this is why, this is a pivotal moment right now. Because black people, we got to get on code heavy because these white supremacists are getting on code with us. And the riders need to identify who the riders are. And historically, foundational black Americans, we've been consistent riders. The problem is we get a lot of people, not all, but a lot, who are outsiders, who are not riders, who are just trying to come in and undermine us. So this is why it's important for us to get on code, and we're getting on code around our lineage. We're getting on code around our lineage. Now, I hope y'all got the flag. I hope y'all got this. We got the big flags coming. I got this in my car. Y'all should have this in your vehicle right now. You should have this in your vehicle. You can get this at officialfba.com. See, this is going to let you know who the other riders are based on your lineage. And some people asked about the breakdown of the flag. We got all that information on officialfba.com. Let me go to the site real quickly, and then I'm going to go into the subject. We got all night. We got time. I'm here. I'm charged up. We're here. Let's go to the site real quick so I can break the flag down to you, because some people wanted to know the meaning of the flag and the symbols on the flag. This is the beautiful site, officialfba.com. All right, this is foundationalblackamericans.com, officialfba.com, okay? We got a lot of good stuff going on this site. A lot of historic pictures of foundational Black Americans. This is where you can get the flag. It's only $9. We made it very affordable so everybody can get. We're showing beautiful foundational Black Americans, the astute, the brothers and sisters who was on the plantation, some of the black folks who were mixed with Native and who were Native. That's another thing. Right here, you can get the FBAC conference on video. We got the t-shirts right here. We got some more foundational Black Americans right here. Beautiful site talking about our lineage. But let's break this down. Let's break down the flag, because some people have been asking about it. People are talking about, what about the Pan-African flag? All right, what about it? We talking about us. We're a distinct lineage. So let's talk about our flag. Let's talk about what our flag is about and what it means. Okay, now the 3 stars you see on the top of the flag, okay? Those 3 stars, that represents the ethnic group that would become foundational Black Americans. That's us. It represents the 3 groups who make up foundational Black Americans, okay? It represents the 3 groups that make us up, okay? Number 1, the Black Aboriginal people who are already here. That's 1. As we know, almost every Spanish explorer, Italian explorer, French explorer, they all saw black-ass people on this land. This is why they were calling people Indio, Negro, Moor, Ethiopian. They were saying all of this stuff about the people they saw because a lot of the people here looked like regular black people. You had the red people as well. There were different ethnic looks, but people who looked like us were already here. So that's one group. The second group that would come here to North America were the Black explorers, okay? The Black explorers who looked like us, who would come over from Africa, who would come over from Spain, the Moors would come over here. We have proof of that where you have Moors like Idrisi, who has a map that shows part of the North American, South American continent. They have these, I don't want to say primitive, but these maps that look somewhat abstract by today's standards. But people like Idrisi, who's a Moor, they had maps that showed this part of the world in the 10th century, okay? And again, this is why the Moors knew how to tell the Spanish what was over here. This is why California was named after a black woman. This is what California, that name has an Islamic connotation, Califia. That's an Islamic connotation. We know the Moors were Islamic. And this is where the Spanish knew that gold was over here. When they came here, they said they were looking for gold. If they were looking for gold, somebody must have told them the gold was here. Who told them? It was the Moors, okay? This is why when the Spanish came over, they would bring all of these Moorish tour guides with them. Columbus came with the Nino brothers. The Nino brothers were guiding his ship. One of the ships was owned by a Moor, the Nino brothers, okay? Look all this stuff up. This is very well documented. This is why they brought over Estevanico the Moor, and he knew all these different Native American languages. How did this nigga know all of these damn languages? That means he must have been here before. Okay? So the explorers who were here. And then the third group that makes up foundational Black Americans are the African people who came in captivity. So all 3 of those groups, and that's very well documented. We know that. We know about the slave ships and all that. I'm not one of these people that deny the slave trade. That's ridiculous, okay? We got to put it all together. We've been here for all three groups amalgamating together for 500 years. So there's a mixture there. And that makes up us. That makes up foundational Black Americans. Okay? So we got to understand that. Now, the fist that we see on the foundational Black American flag, that's almost self-explanatory. That represents the non-stop fight that we've engaged in against white supremacy. That battle started in 1526. That fist, you know what that means. That's that Black Power fist. We've been fighting white supremacy the minute we got here. Okay? We've been fighting white supremacy the minute we got here. Got it? All right, now some people have asked about the olive branches right here, okay? Those olive branches, that represents the peace and the camaraderie that the captive Black people and the Black people who would become Maroons, the captive Black people and the Maroons, the camaraderie we had with the Aboriginal people here. We had a camaraderie with them initially until the white supremacists started kind of getting to some of them. But we had a camaraderie. We fought together. We fought white supremacy together. So there was a camaraderie with the Aboriginal people here. Okay? We're going deep. This is what we need to understand history. See, everything has to have meaning and significance. Let's go back to the flag. This is the white background. That represents systematic white supremacy lurking in the background at all times. And we're being cognizant of that. That white background, let me show, here we go. The white background means white supremacy is always there, but we're still active against it in the foreground. All of this stuff that's going on top of white supremacy means that we're not surrendering to it. We're not surrendering to it. Hit that thumbs up button, y'all. We getting heavy tonight. And then let's get here to the red, white, and blue scheme of the flag. That even has significance. The red, white, and blue scheme of the flag, that's to pay homage to the foundational Black American teen girl, Grace Wisher, who helped craft the current United States flag. As we know, as some of y'all don't know, the person who helped craft the current flag that's flying over America was a foundational Black American girl named Grace Wisher. The red, white, and blue is to pay homage to her. Okay? That's to pay homage to her. We're acknowledging her. She's our Betsy Ross. See, they gave props to Betsy Ross for sewing that flag, the one with the circles. They love giving props to her, but they've made this little Black girl who helped craft the modern flag, they made her disappear out of history, okay? And finally, guys, the 9 red stripes, okay? 9 red stripes. There are actually 9 red stripes here. It looks like 8, but there's a 9th one behind that fist. Now, on the smaller version of the flag, you can see all 9 things because you can see all 9 stripes because the fist is up here for the smaller flag. The moderated flag is a little different just because of the size, but there are 9 stripes, okay? And the 9th stripe is behind the fist on the main version of the flag. Now, that has significance. The 9 stripes represent the 9 significant slave uprisings and rebellions that happened on this land, okay? There were 9 significant slave rebellions on this land that helped change and shape some of the policies. Number 1, the San Miguel del Aguape, that was 1526. Number 2, the New York Slave Revolt, 1712. Number 3, the Chesapeake Rebellion, 1730. This is when a lot of the enslaved brothers and sisters ran into the Great Dismal Swamp. Number 4, the Stono Rebellion, 1735. The brothers killed a lot of white folks down there. They were trying to get to Georgia. They did not make it. Number 5, the Gabriel Prosser Rebellion. That's 1800. Number 6, the German Coast Uprising in the area that would become New Orleans. That's 1811. Number 7, the Denmark-Vesey Rebellion, 1822, as we know down there in South Carolina. Number 8, the Nat Turner Rebellion, Okay, that's 1831. And number 9, which is the most significant, guys, that's the Black Seminole Maroon Wars that went from 1816 to 1842. And that's the hidden one. Okay, that's the one that's really hidden, and that's the most significant one, and that's the most successful one. Okay? So when you look at the flag, put all of these things in context. And I'll go into the Seminole thing a little bit later on the broadcast tonight. I'll go into the Seminole thing. But the Seminole War, the Black Maroon Seminole War, that is hands down the most significant, the most extensive, and the most successful. There are a lot of lies being told about the Seminole War, and all of that is going to tie into what's going on today. Okay, we're going to get heavy tonight, family. Remind me of that. But when you look at this beautiful flag, understand the history that goes with it. This is the history and the significance of it. Okay? So, now let me get back to what I was saying. Now, again, go to officialfba.com to get your flag. Officialfba.com to get your flag. Oh, yeah. We put thought in this thing. It's just we're not whistling Dixie. We put some thought in this thing so that we can let our children know, and even adults, so we can know what our history is. It's very important that we understand our history, family, so that the white supremacists cannot keep running this little con game on us that we were these docile, submissive Sambos. And this is the propaganda they love to push. They love to push the John Lewises on us. They love to push the NAACP on us. They love to push this narrative that we just sat around praying for some good white people to get us out of good trouble. That's the narrative that they like to push on us. That is the narrative that they like to push. And nothing is further from the truth. Now, right now, we're dealing with hardcore white supremacy. A lot of these white militia groups are trying to intimidate people. Out there in Denver, a suspected white supremacist got shot in the face by a white man. They tried to say the white man was Antifa. It was a black man who was arguing with these white supremacist suspects. They were threatening him. He was like, hey, man, I'm going to fuck y'all up if y'all push up on me. So one of the suspected white supremacists went to another white man because they saw the brother was with the business. So they tried to intimidate the white man, and he slapped the white man and pepper sprayed the white man, and the white man shot his ass, dead in the head. So it's getting real out here. It's getting real out here. Now, I don't want nobody to be afraid of these damn white supremacist militia groups. All right? Do not be afraid of these white supremacist militia groups. Don't let them intimidate you. Family, we come from warrior stock. Shout out to Kevin Anderson. Shout out to my brother from Arden Plumbing out there in Texas. So family, we know we're dealing with white supremacy. It's very dangerous out here. The white supremacists have infiltrated law enforcement. They're ambushing black people out here on the sneak. So, a lot of people are concerned. So the Huffington Post, the liberal Huffington Post, put out this article right here. By the way, this is not Gabby Sidibe. A lot of folks thought it was Gabby Sidibe. It's not Gabby Sidibe. She looks like her, and there's a reason why they got this woman for the article, because she looks like Gabby Sidibe, that mammy look. The article says, fed up, these black Americans say it's time to get out of the U.S. Police killings, politics, and the pandemic are pushing more African Americans to leave. Y'all can go to hell with this bullshit right here. Y'all can go to hell with this. This is nothing but Sambo propaganda. This is a Jedi mind trick that they're trying to run on us. This is a Jedi mind trick they're trying to run on us. Let me tell you something. We ain't trying to go to no other damn country. Black people, foundational black Americans, we understand that white supremacy is global. There's nowhere to go to escape white supremacy. White supremacy is not just America. White supremacy is a global thing. So now they're trying to push this lie that, oh, we scared. Oh, Lord, we are so scared. We so scared. We got to leave. We need to go somewhere. We need to get on out of here. Feet don't fail me now. So the article goes on to say, and it's a very long article. I'm not going to read all of it. I'm just going to do the cliff notes. Her name is Devin Kitso Creed. She's a 28-year-old woman. Said she planned on leaving the U.S. to go abroad, definitely before she had children. Her and her husband, who live in Delaware, they plan on going to Ecuador, and she'll continue her work as a doula. Nigga, please. Ain't nobody going down to no damn Ecuador. This is a con game, family. This is a con game to get us to not fight white supremacy. This is a big-ass con game to get us to say, we can't fight white supremacy, so we need to just go somewhere and hide. This is bullshit. And by the way, I'm going to skip over a lot of stuff and go down to her and her husband. Okay, let's go down to her and her husband. Ladies and gentlemen, this is her and her zaddy. Whoop. Hold on. Let me get this. Come on, thing. God damn. I hate when this thing don't be working like I want it to work. There we go. So this is her and Zaddy right here, some weird looking herbal tea Zaddy. So they're trying to run a Jedi mind trick on black folks, get you a Zaddy and bounce. All racism might just be too much for you Negroes. You shouldn't try to fight it. Why don't y'all just go get you a Zaddy, go get you a little hippie Zaddy and just bounce so that you don't have to fight. This is propaganda. They're trying to tell you you can exit white supremacy by swirling and leaving the country. This is a con game. Number one, foundational black Americans. We don't come from a fleeing stock. We're not fleers. We don't run from white supremacy. We've been dealing with white supremacy. This is why we need to know history. We ain't about to run from the nation our families built to go to fucking Ecuador. Really? Now remember, the people from Ecuador are trying to run their ass up here. All the people from Ecuador are bouncing their ass up here, and they're trying to tell us that Ecuador is a viable place to run to. You got to remember, the people in those ICE camps, they're risking getting put into ICE detention to get the hell out of Ecuador. We ain't going to no damn Ecuador. We're not a fleeing people, and they know that. This is why they're trying to push that John Lewis scaredy cat run for your life bullshit propaganda on us. We ain't about to go nowhere. Where we gonna go if we wanted to go? Can't go to Africa. You see what's happening in Africa right now, that SARS thing, people getting killed in the streets left and right by the corrupt police over there in Africa right now, in Nigeria. The white supremacists run rampant over there. And there's so much coon energy over there. The tribal beefs are still alive. Hell, we ain't about to go over there. You understand? Family, this is our ancestral homeland. We're not guests on this land. We're not going to disrespect our families who built this land, the great foundational black Americans who stood tough and stood tall against white supremacy. We're 10 toes down. Family, if I gotta fight white supremacists and die doing it, then damn it, I'll do it on my land. I'd be damned if I die like a punk on somebody else's land in exile, where you're jumping out of the water into the frying pan. You're still gonna run into some white supremacy in Ecuador or wherever you go. Family, we're gonna have a warrior mentality. We're gonna have a warrior. We gotta have a warrior mentality. Yes, ancestral. Family, we've been here for 500 years. The ancestors are all in this land. The ancestral spirits are here. We've been here for half a damn millennium, guys. This is our ancestral fucking land. All of our ancestors are here. Everybody's ancestry goes back to Africa. Africa's too wide of a damn net, especially if we've been in the land for 500 damn years. When people say, well, y'all African, dude, we are culturally not African genetically. Yeah, we haven't been to Africa in half a damn millennium, dude. That's not to disrespect Africa, but shit, everybody's from Africa using that parameter. Hell, everybody in South America are African using that parameter. What they try to play the game, they try to claim native status, but they're really just Spanish hybrids. But if they're claiming native status, how the hell are we not native? And we've been here longer than everybody. We've been here. So of course we're going to blend in with the Aboriginal people here. You understand? When do the people of New Guinea say, okay, we're not African, we've been here for centuries, we're New Guineans? Yeah? This is our land. We got to understand that. We got to show respect to the ancestors. You know what's interesting? I saw something on a side note. Did y'all see there was a story this week? It was a little boy. He got lost. He was like 2 or 3 years old. And little black boy. I don't know. He looked like he might have been a little special needs kid. I don't know. But he wandered out the house in his little pajamas. And what city was this in, guys? Help me out. I forgot what city this was in. But a little black boy wandered outside of his house. He got lost. He just walked outside the house. And he was wandering around the neighborhood in his pajamas. I want to say this was in Maryland somewhere. Where y'all at? Help me out with this thing. I know the comments are a little slow here. Hold on. Where's this kid? Okay, the comments are a little bit slow. What city was that? This little kid, man, and again, he looked like he may have been special needs. I don't know or not, but he was a little kid out here wandering around by himself, and a pit bull found the little kid. Just a random pit bull. Was it St. Louis? It was in St. Louis. Okay, this was in St. Louis. Okay, thank you. It was in St. Louis. So a pit bull came out of nowhere, just a random fucking pit bull, a big ass pit bull, and walked with this kid and protected this kid. A pit bull, just a stray pit bull, and pit bulls are rarely stray. Somebody owns it. But the fact that a pit bull came out, a random pit bull came out and protected this little kid, this little baby, walking around was amazing. And he got him home to safety, or got him to safety. The pit bull came out of nowhere and got the child to safety. That's ancestor energy right there. People are saying St. Louis. That, ladies and gentlemen, is ancestor energy. That shit just don't happen to be happening. That is ancestor energy. You dig? You got to put some respect on that. You got to put some respect on that. You understand? That ain't nothing but the damn ancestors. A dog just pop out of nowhere, sees a kid and protects this child like that. That's ancestor energy right there. See, this is why I got a lot of respect for ancestor energy. I got a lot of respect for it. Now, I don't know heebie-jeebie bullshit, but I got respect for it because that shit is real. We got angels around here, man. We got ancestor angels. You've had it in your life. I had it in mine. I've had some ancestors tell me, nigga, don't go there. Don't go down that street. Don't go down that path. You've had a voice in your head or something tell you, don't do that. It ain't nothing but the ancestors talking. You dig? Ancestor energy is real. This ain't nothing to play with. I'm not trying to get too spooky or too metaphysical here. Family, there's a reason why people keep dying in Lake Lanier. That ain't no damn coincidence. People make jokes about it, but there's no way all those people die in that damn lake with all those fucking freak accidents like that, man. That's ancestor energy. especially over there in Georgia. A lot of our ancestor energy goes over there in Georgia. A lot of those fighters and riders, a lot of shit went down over there in Georgia. Georgia was made as a state to be a buffer to stop runaways. Georgia has a long history of being a buffer state. There's a lot of our ancestral blood that goes down through Georgia, man. There's a reason why people tell you when they get in Lake Lanier, a lot of folks who drown or get in there, they say they feel like something is pulling you down in the water. Several people have said this. Several people said that something is pulling you down in the water when you get there. That water thing is real. When you get around that water, I told y'all, that libations, you're feeding the spirits. You feed the spirits with those libations, that water. That water ain't nothing to play with. Remember a couple of weeks ago out there in Texas, all those white supremacists went out there in Texas on the water in their Trump boats, and all their boats started blowing up and catching on fire and sinking. Not to laugh at tragedy, but all them white supremacist suspects were out there in their boats, and just randomly their boats started catching on fire, sinking, crashing into each other. That ain't nothing but the ancestors. Come on, Ogun. Give it up to a little bit of Ogun, man. Give it up to some of that Ogun juice right there. So we got to understand that energy. Yeah? Yeah, all them boats sunk like that, nigga. Them boats were sinking, blowing up, catching on fire. The ancestors was talking. Yeah, them unrested spirits, dude. Man. So, we got to understand that part of the game. We got to understand that ancestral energy. But I don't want people to get into this thing where they try to scare you with these white supremacist militia groups. Family, let me tell you something. These white supremacist militia groups, the only strength they have is their connection with law enforcement. Those white supremacist militia groups, they've always been, to me, they've been punks. They are not trying to get busy for real. Their strength comes from them being clicked in with law enforcement. Shout out to Ola. Shout out to my player Ola in here. But those white supremacist militia groups, going back centuries, let's do history now. Let's do some more history. Because right now they're talking about this threat of these militia groups. These are satellites of law enforcement and politicians. I want y'all to understand that. This is why they're not being punished. These white supremacist militia groups are their satellites. This is how desperate these white supremacists are. When they start letting these white supremacist groups do the dirty work for them, that means these white supremacists are desperate. That's what they got them doing. They're trying to set these militia groups up to do their dirty work. But now, you know, these militia groups are talking about kidnapping white governors and shit like that. But they're getting desperate right now. And you shouldn't have no fear. Family, they've been doing this since the 1700s and 1800s. Let's go into history for a minute. In 1812, they did the same thing. There was something called the Patriot War. Speaking of Georgia, there was a lot of these white patriot militias in Georgia who were going to go down to Florida to get the Negroes out because they wanted to take over Florida. Because Florida was it was a Spanish territory. Okay? This goes back to the ally thing. Florida was Spanish, then it was British, then it was Spanish again, then it was U.S. run. And for years, black people allied with different people against different nations, which is smart to do. When black folks were brought over to the New World, to the Caribbean by the Spanish, they joined with the English to fight the Spanish. And then at one point, black folks, some black people sided with Britain to fight the U.S. Then people allied with the Spanish to go against the U.S. government trying to enslave people, okay? So at one point, again, Spain didn't really give a shit about our well-being. They understood by allowing Florida, which was a Spanish territory, to bring in Maroons, this would undermine the U.S. slave system, okay? So the Spanish were trying to do little things to undermine the U.S. slave system because Spain was getting militarily weak around the 1800s. At that time, they were kind of weak. So they knew it would be best to ally with some black Maroons who can fight militarily for them. That's really why a lot of the black Maroons were allowed down there in Spain. They were really the military arm of this shit. I want y'all to understand. The Spanish government, they really weren't protecting the black people militarily down there. Just the paperwork and the sovereignty of Spain was a certain level of protection because the U.S. government wasn't supposed to go in there. You're supposed to respect the sovereignty of another nation. So this is the thing that was more appealing to the Maroons. We're getting deep here. Let's get deeper. Let me know if I'm going too heavy. But what happened was, because Spain was letting over all of these black Maroons who would eventually become the Seminoles, and this is why I'm doing that movie. We're going to do a movie talking about the Maroon colonies out here in America that fought these white supremacists. We're going to do a hell of a deep documentary on that because there's a lot of information that's not known. And a lot of misinformation the white supremacists like to give about who the Seminoles were. Okay? The Seminoles, for those who don't know, was a creation. There's no such thing really as a Seminole Indian. It was a creation. The Seminoles were the Northern Creeks. You had Northern Creeks and Southern Creeks. The Southern Creeks, the Creek Nation was fighting with the U.S. government. The U.S. government was decimating all of these Native American tribes. The U.S. government was fucking up these Native American tribes left and right. They didn't fuck up the Seminoles because the Seminoles allied with black Maroons. Well, the Northern Creeks. Let me not go ahead of myself. You had the Northern Creeks and the Southern Creeks. The Southern Creeks were basically the Coon Creeks. The Coon Creeks got decimated and destroyed by the U.S. government. They got moved off their land. They got moved around. So they became the Coon Creeks, the Southern Creeks, down in southern Alabama and all that. And then they started getting into the slave trade. They became the Coons of the Creeks. The Northern Creeks was like, we ain't trying to enslave people and beat them and sell their kids. That's not what we do. And plus, we don't want to give up our land and all that because of these dirty white supremacists. So the Northern Creeks started to go down to Florida. Okay? And also down in Florida were the runaway black people, the Maroons. So the Northern Creeks and the runaway Maroons got together. That became the Seminoles. Okay? Seminoles means runaway in Cimarron. It's a word that means runaway. Okay? You have the red-skinned Seminoles and the black-skinned Seminoles. A lot of times when they talk about the Seminoles, they give the impression that it was a lot of the red Seminoles putting in a lot of work. No. It was the black ones. The ones putting in all that work were the black ones. Okay? The black people were the military arm of the Seminoles. For real, for real. It was the black people putting in work. When they gave them Gullah Geechees, because a lot of them were those Gullah Geechee brothers. Gullah Island is up there in South Carolina. Our strength as foundational black Americans, because we knew the terrain of the swampland, we knew how to use our ecology to fight these white supremacists. Over there in Gullah Island up there, we're my South Carolina people. Y'all know over there in those little rice places where they grow that rice in those little wet marshlands, it's very swamp-like over there. The white supremacists couldn't really live over there in large numbers, and this is why my Gullah brothers and sisters were able to retain a lot of their African languages. They mixed that in with some native languages and plantation languages, and you got the Gullah Geechee language. But the common denominator is the swamp. Being around the swamp, that was an advantage for us as foundational black Americans. That's why the Great Dismal Swamp was a a community that white people could not go into like that. They couldn't go into the interior of the Great Dismal Swamp, and a lot of slave rebellions ended up coming from there, and a lot of the rebels kept going in there. Same thing down in Florida. Those Seminoles had the advantage, those black Seminoles, because of those swamp areas down in Florida. Florida's always been a swamp-like area, very wet down there. Okay? That was an advantage. We knew ecology. And plus, white people were more prone to yellow fever. So you go in there with all that sitting water, that draws a lot of mosquitoes. White people go in there and get bit 2 or 3 times, their ass is out. Yeah? But the problem was this, going back to 1812, the Patriot War. They had a problem with all these runaways going down here to Florida. A lot of black folks were escaping to Florida. That was a problem because, number one, the slave owners were losing a lot of money. The slave owners had a lot of political clout. So the slave owners was like telling the politicians, hey, we need y'all to do something about our niggas. We need y'all, we're losing millions of dollars are getting stolen from these niggas running away from us. We need the federal government to go in here and get these niggas. Okay? The federal government didn't want to admit that they're using federal dollars to do a slave catching expedition, because that's what the Seminole Wars really was about. It was them trying to go capture the black people. They were trying to capture the black people using the federal government, which was something that the general public would not have liked. That's why the general public then, even now, don't know that those Seminoles were black people for the most part. They really didn't know. Outside of Georgia and Florida, the public didn't know. And there was a gag order where you were not supposed to say this shit was about slavery, because people would have been funny style about their money being used to help rich slave owners catch their property. Like, why my money being spent on that shit? So what they did, they tried to hide shit. They tried to illegally, they illegally went into Spain. But what they did, they got a patriot group, just like they do now. They got one of them white patriot groups to go down there and do the dirty work for them. They made it seem like it was just a spontaneous patriot group who wanted to stand up for the U.S., to go down there and fight for liberty and all that. These motherfuckers were sanctioned by Congress and the government. The government was on some real sneaky shit to help them go down there. The feds was in on it. So they sent the patriots down there. And, they took over a little area. They were going to call it the New Republic of Florida, some shit. And then them black Seminoles started fucking them patriots up and scalping them. And so they sent them back running to Georgia. That was a failure. Them black Seminoles started lighting that ass up. Yeah. And ran them out of St. Augustine, Florida. So then Andrew Jackson said, hey, I got to get involved. Yeah, that was their version of the Proud Boys back then. That was their version of the Proud Boys. So Andrew Jackson got in. This was before Andrew Jackson was president, but Andrew Jackson, he had to get involved. He was a general. Andrew Jackson had just wiped out a bunch of Native Americans, the Battle of Horseshoe Bend. So he was a tried and true general. He was a hero of white supremacy because he'd beat a bunch of red-skinned Native Americans. So he went down there to Florida to try that same shit. They kept getting their asses beat. What they did was they blew up a fort. There was a fort called Fort Negro. They blew up Fort Negro. It was really a bunch of women and children. So, they went down there illegally. They disrespected the sovereignty of Spain. They basically took Spain from Spain had to sign their shit over. And when those patriots and all those folks tried to go into Florida and fight the Seminoles and fight the black people, the Spanish didn't do shit. They went and hid off in a fortress. The Spanish didn't lift, they didn't bust a grape. That's how weak the Spanish were. This is how weak the Spanish were. The Spanish weren't doing shit. They were fucked up in the game. So the people really holding it down were the black Maroons out there in Florida. They blew up Fort Negro. Yeah. They blew up a lot of children, women and children. And they did a lot of coward shit. The black Seminoles kept fighting back. You had brothers like John Horse, who was a black Seminole leader. John Horse was gangster with his shit. Yeah, Fort Negro. Look up this stuff, man. They don't tell you about this. And when these generals kept going down there, they kept losing. They kept going down there to battle. They kept losing. They kept getting that ass toe up. At one point, they did a real hoe-ass move. Because they were getting their ass toe up, some of the U.S. generals were like, hey, look, let's have a truce. Come on, let's have a sit down. All this fighting, come on, guys. Let's all get your leaders together. Let's sit down and let's have a truce. Let's have a ceasefire. Let's have a truce, guys. So Chief Osceola, Coacucci, he was another leader. John Horse. All of these brothers said, okay, we'll sit down and we'll parlay with the U.S. government and we'll try to come to an amicable end to this. So when the Seminoles and the Maroons went to the table to chop it up, the U.S. was like, gotcha. So when they went to parlay on a truce, they gonna snatch him up and then put him in jail. And a lot of people, they looked at that, even people within the military looked at that as like a whole move. Like, really? Are we doing that? You know, that kind of makes us look like bitches. We had to do that to get these guys? Yeah, that goes against all integrity of warfare. You know, that's some shit you just don't do as a man in the middle of war. There's nothing more bitch made than doing that. So even the other nations looked at like, y'all, that's what y'all niggas doing now? Do we need to sign deals with you if you doing little whole shit like that? Nigga, that just goes against all the integrity of military, standards and etiquette. That's a bitch move. But let me tell you something. That bitch move still backfired. That bitch move still backfired. They took them down to a fort. What the fuck is the name of that fort? I think that fort is in St. Augustine too. What's that fort's name? It's a fort down there in St. Augustine right now. It's one of the oldest forts out there. It's been there since the 1600s. Where are my St. Augustine people? They took them down to this fort that was supposed to be impenetrable. They took John Horse and them niggas down there and put them in this fort. You can't break in and you can't break out. They took them to this fort, this huge, big, massive fort. It's still down there, by the way. So they took them to this fort, and John Horse and them dudes, what they did, it's not Fort Mose. It's not Fort Mose. It's another one. It's not Fort Mose. It's another one. It's not Fort Mose. San Marcos, yeah. They call it something else, though. San Marcos, they call it something else. I forgot the name of it. They call it something else, though. I wish y'all could tell me the name. My memory is so janky sometimes. But anyway, they took them to another fort down there. Fort St. Marcos, I think that's it. Castillo de San St. Marcos, yeah, I think that's it. I think that's the one. So they took them there. So John Horse and those dudes, they said, look, what we're going to do, we're going to starve ourselves. We're going to tell the guards that, we're sick, we can't eat. So they starved themselves until they got slim enough to climb up the walls and slip through the bars. They starved themselves, climb up the walls, slip through the bars, jump down into the moat. It was a moat with water beneath them. They jumped down and all of them escaped. They got the fuck out of there. On some gangster shit. It was John Horse was the leader of that. So they broke out of that fort, and they said, it's owned like a motherfucker right now. Fort Marion. I think it's Fort Marion. It might be Fort Marion, but whatever. But then it's owned now. It's owned like a motherfucker right now. So they started sending other generals down there. These other generals started getting their asses handed to them. All these U.S. generals were getting fucked up down there. And one of the generals, Jessup, he went down there. He said, look, come on, U.S. troops, let's be real. First of all, let's stop all the playing, because they were playing around with it, saying it was an Indian war, and they kept trying to lie to themselves, saying, okay, I'm just fighting the Indians. And Jessup went down there and said, look, family, let's stop all the bullshit. This is not an Indian war. This is a goddamn Negro war. These are niggas we're fighting. We're going to have to fight different, goddammit. These niggas are whooping our ass. These niggas are beasts. Playtime is over. We got to beat these niggas by any means we can beat them. Oh, this is going to be a great movie. We're going to do this in the documentary. This is going to be major thing. So the Seminoles were swooping these people so bad they didn't know what to do. One of the generals, do I have anybody from Miami here? Where are my Miami people? Where are my Miami people? See, this is why you need to know who your family is, who your ancestors are, what your people, what foundational Black Americans are capable of. Where are my Miami people who live in Dade County? Where are my Dade County people? Family, do you know what Dade County is named after? All my Miami people. Dade County is named after the U.S. General Francis Dade. Dade County was named after Francis Dade and the Dade Massacre. What happened was General Dade was marching along. He had one of his slaves with him. His slave's name was Lucas something. I forgot what the slave's name was. So the slave was leading the way, and he had about 510 of his white troops with him, and they were looking for the Black Seminoles. Them brothers jumped out the bushes on their ass. Them Black Seminoles jumped out on Dade and lit his ass smooth the fuck up. Those Black Seminoles killed every single one of them dudes, except one white man. The slave got the fuck on out of there. That's why for years they thought the slave was in on it. That nigga ducked. That nigga was the first one to duck and bounce. They ain't seen that nigga. When they saw him, they were like, nigga, were you in on this shit? No, I don't know nothing. They think that nigga was in on it. But dude, them Black Seminoles jumped out on Dade and lit his ass all the way the fuck up. They tore that ass smooth up, killed all of them except one, and the reason why he lived, because he played dead. He was the only one who gave an eyewitness account of what happened. Yeah, they shot Dade dead in the chest. He was the first to die. That's why they don't like them. They've been mad ever since. But that's why they got all those draconian laws down there against black folks. They've been mad about that. Those Seminoles were fucking them white supremacists up down there. Not only did they, after they shot Dade and all of his men, the white eyewitness said some more niggas came out, about 50 niggas came out with hatchets and hammers and started just chopping motherfuckers up. Oh, it was like sizzling. They were chopping and dicing their ass the fuck up, dude. White folks don't like to talk about that. And then they were doing simultaneous strikes. They hit Dade and his folks. They started hitting dozens of white plantations, wiping the white supremacists out. There was an Indian assessor, Wiley Thompson, who tried to give them a janky treaty. They went to his house, fucked him up. Those black folks were all over Florida. They were doing these strikes simultaneously in different parts of Florida. Nigga, these niggas had a coordinated guerrilla warfare attack all over Florida, fucking white people up, dude. Thousands of white people got fucked up by the black people in Florida. They don't like telling you this. Thousands of white people in Florida got fucked up by black maroons. This is something they try their damnedest to hide from you. They it wasn't the native doing it, because the Native Americans wasn't about it like that. The white supremacists even admit that it was the military arm, the black folks were the military arm of the Seminoles. You know? So they were going around killing all the white supremacists and hitting all these plantations, burning them down, freeing more black people. They were liberating black people left and right out there. Yeah? What's that big ass river out there? Ochakichi. What's that big ass river? You know, in Florida, there's a big lake right smack dab in the middle of Florida. What's that lake called? Ikachuki. My names are bad. Where my Florida people? What is the name of that big ass lake that's right smack dab in the middle of Florida? Where they had that battle. The Seminoles had another battle with the U.S. Army. Yeah, the Dade Massacre. Look up the Dade Massacre. Okay? Dade got fucked up. What's that? What's that? Okeechobee? Am I saying it right? The Okeechobee River, Okeechobee Lake, Lake Okeechobee. Okay. Lake Okeechobee. Yes, Lake Okeechobee. It's a huge lake in the middle of Florida. And they knew that was kind of the lifeline. They knew that the black people, the Maroons, were living off the land, and that lake, you know, that provided fresh water, that provided fishing, that provided game, wildlife. So, you know, that was their lifeblood to a certain degree. They got so desperate because they couldn't fight, they couldn't beat them militarily. Okeechobee. Okay. Nigga, they got so desperate that the U.S. government, they wanted to drain the fucking lake. They were like, let's just drain the damn lake and starve these niggas to death. We know that this lake, this is possibly their lifeline. They sent some assessors down there to try to drain the fucking lake. The assessors went down there and said, hey, come on, this shit is too big. We can't drain no damn lake. Come on, this is sad. We're getting desperate here. We can't drain a damn lake. They were desperate. What's up, Sexy Lexi? What's that, man? So there was a battle on Okeechobee, by the way. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Yeah? So there was a battle. The U.S. government, they sent like 1,000 of their troops. They sent some of their hitters. They sent some of their hitters down there. They're like, fuck it, we're going to send some of our hard rock military folks down there to get this shit right. And by the way, let me back up a minute. Because the name of the game was for them, the Red Indians, they wanted to maintain their land. That was their motivation. The black people, the black allies, they wanted freedom. They didn't want to go back on them plantations. So both of them, they were allied, but they had, different motivations, but they were allied with each other. The black folks were fighting to stay out of slavery, and the red ones were fighting to not have their land taken, and they didn't want to be moved into Indian territory, okay? One of the red native chiefs, Charlie something, he tried to make a little deal with the U.S. government. They gave him some money to try to move part of his Seminole tribe group to the west, and he got the money, and he was on his way to the boat, and Osceola caught his ass and saw that he had that bag of money and shot his ass. Osceola shot him and then got his money and threw his money on the ground and told nobody, y'all don't touch that shit. He's tainted and that money is tainted, and I'm letting y'all know, if y'all sell out, y'all gonna get some of this too. You see, notice whenever there's a revolutionary type of thing going on, people know how to deal with their coons. Whenever there's a revolution, there's a constant thing about how people deal with their sellouts and coons. See? They killed it. Osceola killed that coon. Yeah? We see that theme in a lot of revolutions. Yeah? So the government sent like 800, not 800, but 1,000 of their hitters, and it was like, 400, Maroons and Seminoles fighting, and still the Maroons and Seminoles beat the U.S. Army. It was like 11, Seminole Indians who got killed, and like damn near 30 of the white men from the U.S. government who got killed, and dozens of them wounded. So they said, fuck it, man. We out here, we're sending our heavy hitters. We ain't got nothing else. We done sent our hardest of the hard to go down here and deal with these niggas, and this shit ain't working. Yeah? So let me tell you something. When people say that we were free white people. Remember when I had that debate with that little white supremacist suspect, wannabe white supremacist Hispanic chick, talking about, y'all were free, the white man had to free you, y'all were free by the white man. This is why you better know history so you can shut them the fuck up for running their mouth and not knowing what they're talking about. Because this is why you need to know history. Family, the Emancipation Proclamation that Abraham Lincoln put out there, that has a direct link to the Seminoles, the Black Maroons, fighting the U.S. government. Let me break that down. This is what y'all need to know. When the Seminole War and the Maroon War, when the Maroons were fighting the government, John Quincy Adams, they were debating about this stuff on the floor. And John Quincy Adams at the time, this was in 1830 something, John Quincy Adams was like, hey, look, during wartime, we need to have the power to say, as legislatures in the federal government, we have to have the power to free slaves if it's going to be for the betterment of the country. Because at the time, remember, slaves were, black people enslaved, they were property of private individuals. But John Quincy Adams argued correctly, he's like, look, we got these former slaves out here fucking us up like this. So we can't let our country get fucked up. Yeah, he was opposed to slavery. But he said, look, we can't let the country get fucked up because a couple of damn slave owners are trying to get their damn property back. These niggas are going to fuck all of us up if we let this keep going on. So they had an edict in there where during wartime, the federal government could free certain slave groups, okay? Now that's very important to understand, because fast forward a little bit later, when the Seminole War is going on and these Maroons are whooping ass and turning up and not backing down and killing more white people and burning down plantations and freeing more people, and more people are fleeing down to Florida, it was Jessup who made a decision to free the black people. I want you guys to look up something called Jessup's Proclamation. Okay, this is something that white historians never talk about. This is something that is buried in history. Jessup's Proclamation. Family, this was a proclamation of the U.S. government basically surrendering to a certain degree to the black Maroons. This is something that's never talked about, but it's very well documented. Yes, Jessup called it a Negro War. He knew what it was, and Jessup, as a military man, he was a military man for decades, damn near most of his life. So he knew what it was. He knew they couldn't beat them brothers. Jessup, and this was what, 1830 something, 1840, something like that. It was 1830s. Jessup said, look, Jessup's Proclamation. Jessup threw in the towel. Jessup said, okay, fuck it. I'm gonna give you your freedom. I'll give you your freedom, okay? Black folks, we just need you to get the hell out of Florida. We give you your freedom, just leave Florida. And they were doing that because they understood the battle between the motivation of the Red Seminoles and the Black Maroons. They knew the Black Maroons wanted freedom. They knew the Red Seminoles wanted their land. And they knew that black people were the military arm of the whole battle. They knew this whole battle was militarily controlled by the black people. So in order to stop everything and also to get the natives to go ahead and move west, to get them to move west, they knew they had to make a concession. And that concession was to give black people who were fighting their freedom. It's called Jessup's Proclamation. That is the first time that black people fought for their fucking freedom and won. They don't frame it like that. That's what happened. Black people won that shit, dude. The black people fighting won. Do you understand what I'm saying? Jessup's Proclamation. White people do not tell you about that proclamation. They act like that shit didn't happen. The black people who were enslaved fought for their fucking freedom and got it. They killed all them white people. They didn't go to jail. They didn't get punished. They just said, hey, look, y'all gonna have to bounce. Just leave Florida. And some of the white slave owners was like, hey, what about my property? Jessup pulled them to the side and said, look here, white slave owner, listen, do you really think you want them niggas on your plantation? Do you want them Seminole Maroon niggas on your fucking plantation? These are not the niggas you want. They're gonna kill you and get all the other niggas to raise up on you. Trust me, you'll thank me later. Them niggas you don't want. You dig? You don't want them niggas no more. They're tainted with freedom. They'll kill your ass. I'm doing your ass a favor. You don't want me to bring them back to you. You dig? They don't tell you this part of history. Jessup's proclamation. And that's the precedent they use for the Emancipation Proclamation to free enslaved people during wartime. That's the precedent they used. They used Jessup's proclamation. Okay? And they got their freedom. They don't tell you that. That was the most successful slave revolution in this country. They don't tell you that. They're embarrassed by that. What they try to do, they try to frame it as if the Seminoles, the black Seminoles, surrendered. They use the word surrender in the paperwork. Well, if you surrender your guns and if you surrender, we'll just send you out west. I mean, that was just for their own ego. That was for their own fucking ego. Let's be real. When John Horse and a bunch of black dudes killed a bunch of white people, I mean thousands of white people, when the fuck have they been able to surrender? All right, there wasn't no surrender. They just put that in there to make themselves feel better. No, that was them giving up. They got tired of getting that damn work. They got tired of being embarrassed. And also, if the Seminoles kept fighting, those Maroons kept fighting, this shit was going to spread because it was getting bigger and bigger. And niggas would have taken over this damn country. And they knew it. They couldn't stop the goddamn Seminoles. Black folks would have took this fucking country over. And they knew that. So they had to get in front of it. All right, we got to take this L. Fuck it. We just going to have to take this L. We got to take it out. We just got to take it and chop it up. Yeah? So this is the part of history they don't let you know, that our people put in some real work and did not give up. They fought to the end until they got a victory. And they know if children see that, if black children see people taking up arms, putting in work for their freedom and for their rights, that's going to inspire. They don't want that. They want you to think, well, if you just bowed and scraped, some good white peoples will feel sorry for you. And they'll give you some freedom based on the kindness of their heart. Bullshit. That's bullshit. That's real history right there. This is what we have to tell our children, and this is what you need to know. This is why we ain't gonna run. Our family didn't run. We had our family members out here putting in work, hiding in the swamps, coming out, jumping out, putting in work. You understand? Yeah, you found a link. Yeah, Google Jessup's Proclamation. Jessup's Proclamation. They were forced to give the Maroons their freedom. And then what happened? They moved people out to the Indian Territory. And this is some other shit there, because it didn't really stop there, by the way. And this is for some of these anti-black Hispanics that try to get crazy with their bullshit talk. When they went out there to Oklahoma, a lot of people, they were out there for some years, and a lot of the white supremacists were really upset. People were still mad because these brothers killed all these white folks down there in Florida. They were still kind of pissed off. So you had a couple of some of these little bandits, slave catchers trying to catch folks slipping and throw them in there and throw them in jail and all that. And then you had some of the politicians out there in Indian Territory talking about possibly re-slaving, trying to throw Jessup's order out the window. Like, yeah, fuck him. Man, we white supremacists, we can change laws whenever we want to. And John Horse was going back and forth to the government trying to, hey, man, y'all need to get this shit right. get them right. But there was whispers of them trying to get rid of Jessup's proclamation and put people back in slavery. So they said, fuck it, this is what we're going to do. We're going to set up another base. We're going to chop it up with Mexico. Mexico, our brother, the black man, Vicente Guerrero, had just banned slavery a couple of decades earlier. So they went down to Mexico, some of the black Seminoles, with John Horse. And part of the deal in Mexico, because Mexico was still kind of militarily weak, it was the same deal as Spain. Spain was militarily weak, but it was the sovereignty that the U.S. government had to respect. So they went down there, they set up shop. Mexico gave them a little spot to post up in. And part of the deal was that, they'll get sovereign protection where the U.S. couldn't just walk off in there like they did Spain, because that was already, in Florida. It was already a bad look for them to disrespect the sovereignty of Spain like that. See, when you just disrespect a treaty, when there's a country that you're supposed to respect their borders, and then you just disrespect it, that makes you look bad on an international level. So what they did, the black Seminoles went down there to Mexico. They were border guards. They were guarding the border because the Mexicans were getting fucked up by the Comanche Indians. Them Comanche Indians were fucking Mexicans up down there. So the black Seminoles were fighting off those Comanche Indians, some of those slave catchers, some of those bandits from Texas. So they were putting in work down there. And also, when the French put in Maximilian I, they tried to put in a French dictator to take over. John Horse fought him off. So the black people who were the Seminoles were down there helping to protect Mexico. They're still, the descendants are still down there too. They called them the Mascogos. Look that up. Look up the term down in Mexico, Mascogos. Those were black people who were Seminoles, the black Seminoles, down there protecting Mexico. And then, after slavery, after the Emancipation Proclamation here, John Horse and those guys, they would come back and forth. Some of the Seminole warriors worked with the American government to kind of tame the West. So it's a hell of a deep history. It's a hell of a deep history. And our brother, John Horse, the great Seminole leader, this brother lived his full life. There were a lot of assassination attempts on his life. They couldn't kill that dude. He'd been shot at, assaulted. They were trying to kill that man all his life. But that man lived a full life, died of old age out there at his spot in Mexico. You dig? They don't tell you about this brother. They don't tell you about this cat. Mascogos. Yes. Mascogos down there in Mexico right now. The descendants. Black than a motherfucker. Yeah? This is what we need to understand about our history and who we come from. And we come from riders. We come from riders. And again, like I said, they got some of those black Seminoles and the Buffalo Soldiers and other black people to tame and expand the West. They were working with the U.S. government, and they were dealing with a lot of hostile Native American bands. And they settled the West. The cowboys, all these people, all those original cowboys were black folks, man. They don't tell you this. White folks weren't taming the West. The whole thing in the movies, they started using this whole white cowboy shit, like this brave white man going in Indian territory. No, they weren't. That whole John Wayne bullshit. No, they were not. White men were not going into hostile Indian territory. That is a lie. The Lone Ranger, all that shit. We know the Lone Ranger was based on Bass Reeves. It was a brave black man in Oklahoma who was whooping ass. Bass Reeves was not fucking around. That's who the Lone Ranger is based off of. We talked about that in Hidden Colors 2, I think. So all that cowboy shit came from them brothers, especially the black Seminoles who started working with the government expanding west. They were the ones out there taking them risks. They were the ones working for the Pony Express, delivering mail and doing all that hard work. Yeah? Real heavy stuff. So when you know your history, man, that makes you hold your head up high just out of respect for your family. Look, my family they weren't punks. I'm not going to conduct myself like a punk. I'm not going to be afraid of a fucking coward-ass white supremacist. If it's time to go, he has to go with me. We got to, that's how you got to roll sometimes. I was raised, my grandmother helped raise me. My grandmother, again, I always talk about my grandmother, born in 1910. My grandmother was alive when Harriet Tubman was alive. I always think, if I do some decisions, would it disappoint her? I wouldn't do anything that would disappoint her. I had one of them grandmothers where back in the day, and y'all know, my old school folks know, you couldn't run from a fight. Back in the day, you couldn't run from no fight. If you got into a fight and tried to run in the house, take your ass back outside and throw them things up. You don't run in this fucking house. She didn't curse like that. My mom did. My mom cursed. I see you, Mom. But yeah, you don't run. You don't run in this house like no punk. You go out there and deal with that. See, a lot of Generation Z, whatever generation this is, y'all don't understand that. Because a lot of y'all were raised by, not y'all, but a lot of people in Generation Z, whatever this is, were raised by hood rats. You're raised by 33-year-old grandmothers who's doing the wet pussy challenge on the internet. That's your grandmother. Your grandmother's doing the wet pussy challenge. Your grandma's sitting there with a basket weave sliding down a pole somewhere. Your great-grandmama is still getting flued out. You dig? So y'all don't understand that part of the game. But at one point, the grandmothers would make you put them things up and you fought like a man. You had to fight like a man, and if you lost, you lose like a man. But back then, we had grandmothers, some of my old school folks know, we had grandmothers who would not let you be a coward. You know why they wouldn't let you be a coward? Because that would reflect on them. Because the word would get around the neighborhood that you a punk bitch running from niggas, and the first thing people are going to say, who raised that little fuck nigga? That's the first thing people would ask. Who raised that little old bitch ass nigga? Who your mama now? Miss Jenkins, this your little bitch nigga you raised? So that would reflect poorly on Granny. So no, you go out there and throw them things and put my name on it. Yeah, you ain't about to embarrass the family being a bitch. You better go out there and put them things up and fight that nigga and pick up a stick and knock his goddamn ass out or do something, but you ain't gonna run up in here like no bitch. You know? That's how it was back in the day. Yeah, because people get to whispering around in church. He done ran in the house, and all of a sudden, they done put his ass in the choir. He up here twerking while singing "Oh Happy Day." He singing with a list. Oh happy day, oh happy day, oh happy day, oh happy day. Wing thee the wall. Now he's singing with a lisp. So something wrong. Something's going on with him. People are gonna start talking. So yeah, you couldn't go out like that, dude. Man, you had to get it in, yo. But like I said, man, fuck that. We ain't scared, man. We ain't running nowhere. All this shit about black folks talking about moving. We ain't moving nowhere, nigga. Nigga, my family didn't do all this suffering, fighting in swamps, dealing with Jim Crow, dealing with Montgomery bus boycotts, dealing with all this shit for me to bounce. off the legacy that they built, they want me to stay here and fight for them at least. This is our shit. We built this thing. We're owed a debt. I ain't about to let no white supremacists run me off. Nigga, these cowardly ass white supremacists, if you know their history, dude, that's why y'all see I'm so fearless against these folks. I'm not afraid of these cowardly assholes. These are cowards, dude. They've been cowards. Nothing about them is honorable. Dude, I ain't running from them. Just imagine your grandma looking down at you. Yeah? And don't let them run around with their little old guns trying to intimidate you and all that. Those are intimidation tactics, nigga. Understand. The Maroons, you got to have a Maroon mindset. The Maroons made a point not to be seen. You understand? It ain't about being seen and trying to match them by walking around with your gun. See, that's why I get on Scam Master J and all these people walking around showing your guns off and no, because you're already at an disadvantage doing that. Let's go back to the Seminoles. The Seminoles, they tried to go mano a mano, empire against empire, with the U.S. when they were fighting at Fort Negro. Fort Negro was built by the British, by the way. And Fort Negro, they thought that they could fight from a stationary point. They thought they could fight and go against that army, a mightier army, from a stationary location, and that was a failure. It got blown up. They just shot a cannon in there and blew that spot up, and bam, fucked it up. So they quickly said, okay, we can't fight like the British. We can't fight that mano a mano, toe-to-toe, facial, frontal. No, we can't do that. We're going to have to go old school, do some guerrilla warfare, hit these swamps, do hit and run. So they had to fight with a new style. They had to go back to guerrilla warfare. That's why niggas walking around with your guns with Scam Master J, niggas out there in paintball suits. That's the most useless shit ever. That is useless. It is useless. No disrespect to anybody. We're just talking about what's practical. That is useless. All that is to get a bunch of niggas out there to find out what gun club you with so they can get an assessment of who the fuck you are, just in case you decide to get into some kind of guerrilla warfare. They already know who to hit. We better understand tricks that's being set up on our ass when it's being set up. You understand? We better understand when a game is being played. The fuck niggas walking around with guns for? What the fuck are y'all doing that for? That's just showing out. We ain't got time to show out. You better protect yourself by all means. And what's understood doesn't have to be explained. What's understood doesn't have to be explained. You better protect yourself by all means and any means. And be ready. Be ready. You stay ready. You ain't got to get ready. Just be ready for these cowardly white supremacists. Never underestimate their cowardice. You never underestimate their cowardice. Yeah? Man. Real heavy shit. Are y'all going to the website officialfba.com? Officialfba.com. Yeah, marching around with a bullhorn and all that shit? Nah. Officialfba.com. That's where you can get the flag, the shirt. You can watch the FBAC conference. You can watch it there. Yeah? Yeah, you showing your hand. That's the worst thing you can do. That is the worst thing you can do. That makes zero sense whatsoever. That's why we got to understand controlled opposition. When niggas go out there and you talking crazy, not only you marching around with your gun, niggas talking crazy on top of that, and ain't no Fed saying nothing, and the media is not saying anything about your ass, that's controlled opposition. Yeah, Esau, yes, Esau is a coward. Yeah, we got to understand the white supremacists, they're cowardly by definition. This is why we're going to be talking about that dismal swamp. We're going to be, in the new documentary, we're going to be breaking all that stuff down. For years, they would not go in that damn swamp. For years, they would not go in that swamp. They just really, in the 20th century, got a correct survey of the Dismal Swamp because it's right on the border of Virginia and North Carolina. And that was another thing why it was so effective, because the jurisdiction of it, right in the middle of the swamp, nobody, whose jurisdiction was it? The Virginia militia and the Virginia law enforcement at the time, they didn't know if they should go in there. The North Carolina law enforcement didn't know if they should go in there. There was a lot of jurisdictional confusion. Plus, they couldn't access the center of the swamp. It was some real heavy shit. They were scared of that swamp, truth be told. They were afraid of that swamp. They were very afraid of the Dismal Swamp. Yeah. Forced to Glory by Lerone Bennett. I got to check that out. Man. Yeah, so we chopping it up tonight. A lot of good folks in here tonight. Yes, the swamplands. Yeah, the swamplands ain't no joke. But yeah, I'm going to be down there in Louisiana probably next week. I got to do some filming down there. We're finishing up on the buck breaking movie. We're pretty much a wrap on that. We're almost wrapped up on that. I got a couple of more things to film, and then we're going to start doing the edits for that, you know. But I can't wait to start doing the movie about the Maroons, about the American Maroons. Can't wait to start doing that. Oh, yeah, the swamps not only, and understand the swamps, within the swamps, you had little islands where people would set up homes, people could set up crops, they could set up herbal medicine. So it was real heavy. What's up? What's up, Jasmine? Says you're going to play this history lesson for your 8-year-old. And tell your 8-year-old Uncle Tariq don't mean to curse so much. I know. I know some of I do use profane language, and I got to watch that. Because kids pick up on that stuff. Because my kids, TJ, they be watching like YouTube videos, and some of these YouTube videos have cartoons, but it'd be cursing on the cartoons. So you got to watch it. Sometimes... and they be playing that Roblox stuff, and people be on there cursing. So you got to watch that. Because the other day I was, TJ was playing some game. He was like, oh man, fuck. I said, man, watch your mouth, man. Man, don't you say that. And he ran to his mom. Don't you say that now. You got to watch that. You know, that's why I had to chill out on the crispy puppet, because my kids would sneak and watch. For some, the crispy stuff, a lot of it, they didn't know how to find it online. But when I would record the crispy stuff on my phone, my phone would be connected. You know how your phones are connected through Wi-Fi with all the other iPads in the house? I don't know how to cut that shit off. But we'll do a crispy video on my phone, and then it will be on their iPad. They be in there laughing at crispy with all that cursing. And then they be playing with the crispy puppet, arguing, shut the fuck up, everybody. You raggedy bitch, everybody. So let me chill with the crispy puppet for a minute. It's too many kids getting into the crispy puppet. I would do lectures, and kids would come up to me. Hi, everybody. Where's Crispy, everybody? I said, oh, no. I can't really talk to kids about no damn Crispy. Hey, Mr. Tariq, why does Crispy say everybody after every word? It's a long story, kid. You really shouldn't be watching it. Yeah, I hate that, because I would do live appearances, and the kids would ask me about Crispy. I can't explain Crispy to no child. I can't explain that to a kid. I can't explain that to a kid. So, am I doing a documentary? But no, the next look, we're doing buck breaking right now. We're almost finished with buck breaking. And the next documentary is going to be about the Black American Maroons. foods. I should do a clean version of Crispy. See, no, that's the thing. That's the funny part, because the Crispy is so cracked out acting. That's the funny part of it. You can't do a clean version of Crispy. Yeah, you can't do a clean version of it because, that the joke is it's a goofy nigga. It's, you really can't do a clean version of it. Why are y'all asking me about Synthetic G? I don't have anything to say about Synthetic G. I don't have anything to say about her. God bless her. God bless Synthetic G. God bless her. Now, no Synthetic, you're listening, Synthetic G. I know you're listening. I know I mentioned her on my last broadcast the other night. I don't really watch her show, so I don't watch her little bullshit channel. Again, she looks sickly, so I don't know what's going on with it. Did Synthetic G have her child? That's what I really want to know. Did she actually have a baby? Because there was a rumor that she was pregnant, and she kind of disappeared. Then she popped up just husky than a motherfucker, and nobody, I'd never seen the baby or nothing. Did she actually have a baby? I mean, she looked like she had something, but nobody's ever seen the baby. Yes, I don't know. But and I say this out of concern for the baby. I know she's very obsessed with me. She wanted me to hit her from the bike, and I don't want it. I don't want that. She wanted me to hit her from the bike. I know I'm not going to do that. Yeah, they said she was pregnant. She wanted to get with me. Cynthia was obsessed with me, and no. Even if I wanted to, I would get turned off, because if I was hitting her from the bike and tried to grab her hair and that funky wig came off, that would have just fucked up the whole mood. No, that'll fuck up the whole mood. If that wig come off in the middle of me hitting it, I'll lose my erection. No, I see that alopecia riddled scalp. No, I'm good. I couldn't do it. But God bless her. God bless her. I keep her in prayer. I'm just really concerned if she had a baby or not, and if she's breastfeeding with that funky wig on, because that's very dangerous, and I'm concerned for the children. You can't be breastfeeding with a funky wig. That synthetic hair irritates the baby's skin. You can't breastfeed with a synthetic wig like that. That's very dangerous for children. That baby can choke on them plastic fibers. You can't have that for a baby. So I'm concerned about the baby's health. I don't want the baby to choke on synthetic wig fibers, and I don't want that poor baby's skin to get irritated by them $2 Sally's Beauty Supply wigs. At least can we get the baby some Aveeno lotion or something? I'm concerned about the baby. That's my concern. But God bless her. God bless her. God bless her. God bless her. I love the kids. I do anything for the children. That's my biggest concern. Anywho, let me get out of here before shit gets real petty tonight. Let me get out of here. Y'all go get the lecture, the whole Foundational Black American Conference lecture. Go get that at officialfba.com. Great information on that, man. Real good information on that. And you get the flag. Don't forget your flag. Your FBA flag, ladies and gentlemen. Go to KarenKeychain.com. Get your Karen keychain. All right? KarenKeychain.com. All right, y'all have a great week, family. And I'm going to holla. Y'all be good.